Hey, welcome to Kate's Crafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you a shaker birthday card I made using Lawn Fawn's new Henry's ABCs and Mama Elephant's Mod Heart die set. Let's get started. Here I've got some purple glitter cardstock that I've cut the alphabet out of. I haven't bothered to separate the alphabet yet, as I just recently got it, and I like to keep a stash of alphabet letters on my desk in case I need them. Here I'm just going to cut out pieces of the leftover cardstock to cut out extra letters that I need to spell happy birthday. So I just take the extra cardstock and cut it, and then I cut other ones down to size to place underneath the letters that won't be covered in the larger piece. So here I've got the Y, and now I'm going to do the A, so I have enough to complete the front of the card. I got this cardstock from, I think, the dollar store, and it has very little shed to it, which is really nice as far as glitter paper is concerned. So here I've got the letters that I need, and I try to keep a little bowl on my desk to kind of collect all the little pieces that I gotta pull apart. And here I'm using the, I think that would be like the base die for the Mod Heart set, and it's just cutting out an A2 size frame for me, and I am taking the Mod Heart die and I'm going to cut that out of that panel card that I just did. And I'm going to save the center of this for a later card. I really like this die because it kind of creates two cards, if you will, or one, depending on how you want to use it. You can cut the center out of it and have these little panels for another heart, or you can add them back in, but this particular die leaves a outside border stitched to it, which is really nice, especially on the glitter. And here I've just got some cardstock that I had. I think it was a 12 by 12 paper pack I got from Michael's. Something to do with zodiac signs, I think, or crystals, I can't remember. It's an old paper pack. So I'm going to go around the heart here with some double-sided tape, and I'm going to use some packaging here in a minute, but I want to make sure that the edges of this heart have something sticky around them, so that way nothing gets caught underneath the cellophane that I'm going to use to create the shaker card. So I'm just going around the border here, making sure that I get it close to the edge without going over to create a seal. So I'm going to lift up the release paper here, and I'm going to go over the edges, well, not over the edges, but around the edges to make sure that I could adhere the cellophane properly to the front of the cardstock. Well, not the front, you know what I mean. It's a little late right now as I'm recording this, so forgive me if I sound really tired. Anyway, and once that I've got that all adhered, I'm going to peel all of that off, and I am going to cut down my paper package, or not my paper packaging, but my plastic paper wrap thing that I got from the glitter cardstock down to size. And I want to make sure that I don't use the bit that's got the hole in it, because that'll kind of defeat the purpose of the shaker card, if you know what I mean. So once I've got all that adhered, I'm going to give the plastic a haircut. And see the hole right there? I was certain not to put it inside of my card. Even where it's taped down, you want to be careful about that, because the glitter could slip out into it and into the back of the card. So here I'm just going to take some foam tape and I'm going to go around the edges, and I'm going to create my will with them. Sometimes I like to cut a piece to length and then put one on top of it and cut that to length, so that way I've got two equal parts and I don't have to measure it twice. It can be kind of convenient sometimes when you do it, but this stuff is really sticky, so you got to be careful where you put it. So I'm going to do the same for the top and bottom here. cut one piece, line it up, and then I'll cut it again, so I have two. And there you go. I'm making sure that the ends are nice and snug against the sides of the other foam tape. That way nothing falls out because we're going to be using glitter. So here I'm just going to kind of fussy cut two pieces that are on an angle so that the glitter stays within the frame of the heart and doesn't go and disappear on the edges. Well, that was my main goal for it anyway. And it gets a little sticky because I keep two pairs of scissors specifically for this, and I've got to clean them off with a magic eraser and maybe some rubbing alcohol sometimes just to get them nice and clean again. So here I'm going to do one for the center as well. Not that I really needed to, but I wanted to make sure that the center of that heart, the little peak there, had enough stability on it that it wasn't smooshing in. And there you go. So now I'm going to make sure that's all flat, and that's what you're going to see in the window. Well, you're not going to see all of it, mind you. I have this glitter left over from another project that I had started and somehow messed it up, so I ended up cutting apart the shaker card and saving it. So I thought I would add more to it. I'll come to find out here in a minute that I didn't need as much, but I got a little ahead of myself and was really excited to make this. This card was for a coworker of mine who recently had a birthday, and from what I understand, she had a really good birthday, so happy birthday to her. So here I'm going to take off the release tape. In hindsight, I probably should have saved this till last. You'll see in a minute here. I'm kind of clumsy when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I remember at this point that I need to tape down the base of my card when I'm working with glitter, because I send stuff flying everywhere if I'm not careful. And I kind of do this here, so this is where I get a little too excited. So I've got this whole jar of glitter sequin mix and beads and such, and I think I'll just dump it all in, but I've got that release tape taken apart there, so it's all sticky. This is where I should have just left it before I had dumped all this stuff in, because you could see that all these little glitter pieces are getting stuck to the sticky bits, and probably not the smartest idea. So if you make a shaker card, don't take the release tape off before you enter in the glitter. So here I'm just taking a piece of cardstock and scooping some of that excess out because I was a little too excited with the glitter. I'll admit it. Even though I work with glitter, I still like to create with glitter. It's just so magical, and it makes everything that much more prettier. Don't you agree? Let me know in the comments. What do you think about glitter? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Can you live without it, or can't you live without it? Let me know. So I'm just going to mash all this stuff down once I got all the beads. See, that's the thing with the little micro beads here, is that you don't want to get them stuck on the sticky bits because that creates a bit of a bump. But all the little flat bits, they're all right. But here I'm going to take off those little bits right there, and that's going to create a good sticky mess to adhere the back on. Let's see what I mean. You got to move everything around. So I'm going to stand up and line that up to that card. And there you have it. Boom! Send the lid spinning. So once that's all out of the way, there you go. Not too much, just enough. I think that looks pretty. But it's not done. So up next, I've got my alphabet letters out from Henry's ABCs, and I'm thinking that they'll fit as long as I can squish them in good enough. So I'm going to use my grid mat on my glass mat, and this is just a cheapy dollar store glass mat that I got from the Dollarama. I think it was like $4, And it's served me quite well, I have to say, for $4. It's lasted me this long, and I've only got a few scratches in it, but it's worth the $4 if you ask me. So I'm going to take some low-tack tape here, and I'm going to mash that down over top of the letters so that I can keep them all lined up. Oh, first I got to use my T-square ruler to make sure they're nice and straight. So once I've got that nice and stuck down, I'm going to pull that up carefully, flip it over, take a little sequin off, and then I'm going to use my little glue tube here, and I'm going to go over the letters so I've got enough glue. I recently picked up this little tiny glue bottle in a 4-pack from Michael's, and I must say it was worth the $5 I think it was that I spent on it. Usually I get blobs of glue everywhere with the larger ones, and with these guys, well, these little guys, if I get blobs of glue, it's not too substantial and I don't make as big of a mess. But sometimes it is hard to keep a straight, fine line when things are this tiny. But overall, I think the purchase was worth it. So if you happen to run across these little bottles, best to pick some up. They take liquid glue, as long as it's not too thick, I think. I'm using a Tombow mono glue here, the Aqua one with I think it's the blue cap. And it seems to be okay, but for long hauls, my hands get a little tired from squeezing so hard. So once I have that nice and lined up, I'm going to pat that down nice and tight. Make sure everything's nice and sticky, and I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes. And up here I have some cardstock that I was looking at, but I don't think that I'm going to use them. They were a really nice find, though, just to show them off, this linen cardstock. A friend of mine had recommended them, and she said she found them at the Dollarama too, but look at the finish on these papers. I just have to take a second to admire all of these. That gray and that pink, oh, I love it. And then the other ones that I got, they don't have that pearlescent shine to them. They're just like a matte finish, but they've got this really nice texture on one side of them, and the other is just kind of like a flat finish. But you can see the texture on them there. That purple and that pink is lovely. They're not very thick cardstock, like 110 pound. They're probably more like 65, so I wouldn't necessarily use them as a card base, but I don't know, I haven't played with them yet. So here I'm just basically carefully pulling up that tape to make sure that I don't pull up any of those letters. I probably could have let it sit for a little bit longer, but I wanted to get this card done when I was making it. It was getting late by this time. So once I've got that all ready, I'm going to mount that onto that cardstock with some double-sided tape. But first, I got to put in a sentiment. So the sentiment that I'm using here is from the offset birthday stamps, I think it is, from Fawn. And I forget exactly what it was. I don't have it written down, and it's in the other room. But you'll see here in a minute once I get it all lined up and stamped what it says. I thought it was kind of appropriate, seeing as how everybody loves cake. Well, almost everybody. So once I'm done fiddling around with that, I'm going to put down the first line there and line it up, because I was having a hard time with these small dies, or small stamps. So once I've got that lined up there, I'm going to line up the next bit of the stamp on the stamping positioner so I can get it nice and even. There's little grid lines on this Hampton art stamp positioner, which is nice, so I can get stuff fairly lined up. It's never perfect, but I think that's what makes cards that more unique. When they've got a little bit of a flaw to them, it gives them a little extra character, unlike the stuff that you buy at the drugstore that seems to be mass-produced on a printing machine or a printer. But then once I've got that stamped up, I'm going to try and get rid of all the metal stuff underneath that's preventing me. Move the card out of the way because I'm clumsy. And here, now you can see it. Wishing you a very special eat cake day. I thought that was appropriate. So once I've got that done, I'm going to take some double-sided tape and I'm going to adhere that around the base of the tape. And then I will mount it back on. I suppose I probably could have edited this part out, but I was excited to get this video out now that I've already gifted the card. See, that's the thing, I make all these great cards, but I gotta wait until the person's birthday comes along so I don't kind of reveal it too quickly. I like to give them a surprise. So I'm gonna put my tape on the inside to hold it down, and then I'm gonna line it up. But first, rule of thumb, get your stamp positioner, because this is always the best way I find, and add a little bit of glue to the back of your card. So that way, if you do mess up the alignment, you still got a few seconds of wiggle room before it completely adheres. So once I've got my card base in my Misti, and I make sure that I've got it on the right fold side, I'm going to line that up and press that down and pick it up, make sure I'm good, and now it's time for embellishments. So I think I got these from the dollar store too a while back. That's the thing with the Dollarama. Sometimes you'll find some really good stuff and then like a week or two it's gone and then you never see it again. Or, you might see it a few months later, depending. Their stock always changes, so every so often I like to go and see what kind of stickers and sequins and stuff that they have. And I'm going to call this card done. If you've enjoyed today's content or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe as I post videos weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care.